Evan is a medical student in New York, and he's really been really key in helping to coordinate our social media efforts across the different channels for CanadiEM. So he just had a few slides he wanted to present, and so I'll be doing that on his behalf. Okay, so both Evan as well as Edward Fang, one of the other junior editors, has been responsible for doing a lot of work actually in promoting our social media projects. As one of the main people in charge of our publication schedule, I know that sometimes I'm pretty last minute in terms of when I start scheduling posts and that sort of thing. So I know he's been working really hard because despite posting things last minute, I always seem to see like a tweet or a post or something about it the next day. And so I know he's really on top of it, and it really helps too. Sometimes there's such a competition between different film producers and people on Twitter saying different things that it's incredible to have these succinct tweets that capture the main message of a post. Some of the technologies that he's currently using is a program called Buffer, which helps to schedule things on Twitter as well as Facebook. And that's part of his workflow as well, in just terms of planning and reviewing the posts and then scheduling them for release later that week. He did some reflection about some of the challenges and some of the solutions that they've come up with over the past year. So again, going back to scheduling things last minute, he said that that's sometimes been a challenge when we do those kinds of things. However, they do have a regular monitoring of the website to try to catch any of the posts that might have been missed and to try to create a post either that next day or perhaps in the next week when they have more time in the schedule. There's also been a few technical limitations. He mentioned that with Buffer as well as with Facebook, there are some technical limitations in terms of how posts are scheduled that limits a little bit in terms of how much they can schedule ahead of time. However, given that it's hard to change some of those things, they have found some workaround solutions. And I think the main thing is really identifying these problems so that they're aware of them. So we put together a few slides here as well about our different reach in the different platforms. The primary ones being Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So I want to go over each of these in some detail. So for Twitter, Twitter is obviously the one that's most used by the film universe, and for us as well, it has our most followers. So you can see that there's quite a big reach from our Twitter platform. This tweet on the right here is our most popular tweet over the last 3 months, which had over almost 1,000 engagements, almost 15,000 views of the post. So you can see that each of our posts really do a great job of amplifying the message that we're trying to send with each of these posts. With Facebook, we also have a pretty good viewership as well of over 3,000 page followers. I think the main thing that stands out for me in looking at these metrics is how much of our audience is outside of Canada. So you can see on the pie chart on the right there that about 1/3 of our audience is Canadian, but there actually are a number of other countries that are really tuning in and engaging with our content. And I think that same trend is echoed as well when you look at our Instagram followers as well. Again, only about 1/3 of our viewers are from Canada, and the rest are from elsewhere. And so I think that's a really good illustration of the amount of reach that we have at CanadiEM. Instagram is a relatively new thing for us. We only established this a few months, about a year ago in February 2019. But despite that, we almost have 1,200 followers, which is a pretty good reach for the amount of time that it's been active. And also given the fact that Instagram isn't as used by everyone in film. Evan also did some reflection on some of the other social media platforms that are potentially available. He looked at Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube. Ultimately, he felt that for both Snapchat and TikTok, that those probably weren't ready for prime time in terms of us making the investment for those platforms. He felt that some of the functionality within those platforms could already be replicated within Instagram and other platforms. One area of potential expansion he identified was YouTube. So we thought that potentially if we made more videos, we could expand and have our own channel. Potentially we could record some of our podcasts, even just having a visual component of someone like Kevin Dong recording the podcast. I know a lot of popular podcasts around the world, which are non-medical in nature, have done that same thing. So if we have someone who's interested in that sort of area, that would be a potential area of expansion. As I mentioned a bit earlier with the Frontline Primer, we've also been partnering with that group out of McMaster, Demystifying Medicine, and they're also video making experts, and that's another area that we can further explore as well. So in terms of what Evan felt was like the next steps for the social media side of things, so obviously we're going to try to continue engaging our audience and expanding our audience. He felt that storytelling would be a great way of helping to capture the attention of people across social media. And finally, he felt that some videos, potentially taking some of our already existing posts and turning them into videos, would be a neat way of helping their dissemination across social media. Okay, so I've listed Evan's Twitter handle there, and as well as our various social media Twitter handles or different handles for social media platforms. So if you guys aren't following us already, please give us a follow. And if anyone has any questions about social media, I'm happy to answer them now or later if you also want to ask them later on too.